Hey guys, today is May 30th, 2026. May is coming to an end. No! Just kidding. Yay! Not because anything wrong happened. I had a wonderful month filled with growth and reflection. I just think new starts are so much fun, so I'm looking forward to June beginning and everything that June has to offer. But to nicely close up this chapter, I thought I'd make a little video and I can reflect with you. So I'd like to start with my current sublet. Yes, my current sublet. You guys see so much of it right now. But I want to start with the sublet I'm staying at. I had a 1-month sublet for May here in Vancouver, in West Vancouver. And it's been a really fulfilling experience for me. I want to talk about why. And maybe partially I'm figuring out for myself why. I think there's a couple different sides to this. First of all, I don't know if you guys have been to West Vancouver, but it's stunning. Like, it's really, really beautiful. And I've been to Vancouver a few times, but I've never stayed here. And I never even went over the Lions Gate Bridge very often. And it gives me a whole different outlook on the city and experience. And prior to this, I mean, my first time in Vancouver was December of 2021. And it was cold, and I lived in Kitsilano, so I was on the other side. And I'd walk into the city, not that it was a far walk or anything, 40-minute walk and you're like city center, you're in the core kind of area. But nonetheless, I was really directly, I won't say hope no one takes offense to this if you're like, I don't think you should. But I was really directly comparing the cities. So when I came here from Toronto as an actor, and I saw the city and I could see mountains. So it was like mountains win, oceans win. I thought the gates, and I still think, bridges are so wonderful. I still feel this way. But in 2021, I was mostly seeing city. And I was kind of shocked that Vancouver as a city seemed pretty small. So at the time I was like, beautiful, although I still prefer home. And I kind of have always had this thing, like I've traveled to Europe quite a bit, and I always went back to being like, I'm so grateful I traveled, but home is where the heart is. And that's partially because of what city suits me and my interests, sure, but it also correlates with where my memories are, where my fond feelings are, my childhood is. Not that I really associate downtown Toronto much with my childhood. I mean, a little bit. My grandma and I going to the AGO together, the ROM, and her giving me a quarter to, like, not one quarter, she'd give me many quarters, but I actually can't believe this in retrospect, but to give a quarter to people we ran into on the street, like homeless people. Nowadays, I don't think I'd give less than $1, but that's inflation. I was also a kid, so that was probably a component as well. But that I do have some childhood memories downtown, but I did grow up West End Toronto. It was more in high school when I really kind of became a downtown girl and started to go a lot. But anyway, like Queen Street West is like, has my heart, Okay, I'm tangenting a little bit. But I think one part of moving here has changed my relationship with Vancouver and has shown me that Vancouver can 100% be a place that I can live, and I sort of want to live here. I mean, I know I'm going to come home for a few weeks in June because it's my bestie's graduation. She's graduating from her master's, and I hope this doesn't sound bad, but I'm a bit nervous, not about the graduation. I think that's going to be wonderful and lovely, and I'm really happy to see her and my mom and my grandparents. But this has been a big growth period of time for me, and coming home feels like a bit like a separate and a restart. And I assume I'll come back here after, but I came here with specific momentum. Like I had booked a show, and I worked on, it's a film, sorry, often in the industry we say show even though it's a film, but I was working on this film for like 5 weeks, and that kind of got me here. But if I choose to come back, and currently a lot of my opportunities are in Toronto, it might not feel the same making the decision to come back, except I do feel like I want to, because it doesn't feel done to me. Like I don't feel that urge to come home. I feel like I'm onto something. But anyway, that'll be an interesting reflection I will get to when it happens. But yeah, so one part is it's just flipping awesome here, and I'm in a really beautiful place, and I'm getting to know the acting community a lot better in Vancouver. So it's like this wonderful mix where I sort of like feel like I'm living in the countryside, except it's also ocean and mountains and beaches, which is abnormal for me no matter where I am. Like, I love staying at the cottage in the summer, and the cottage is so beautiful. I want to say, but there's no oceans and beach and mountains inside. They have other things, and my cottage is stunning, and I freaking love it. But I just mean that this is a new experience for me, and I'm sitting in different things, which is really interesting. Now, something else I think about this spot in May in particular, because I could feel I'd already been here since March, but when May started and I moved into the sublet, I felt quite a bit different. And I think the reason why is, well, a couple things. But when I moved from Toronto, in the winter, I was totally in scarcity mindset. In the fall, I was not. I actually went to Vancouver in the fall. I was in a ton of acting classes. I was training. I sort of felt like something was going to happen, and then a lot of things happened, but nothing like, no big booking happened. That's not the only way to measure growth. But I kind of put all this money and time into my craft, and then I came home during slow season and felt pretty low, to be honest. I don't like saying that because I like to feel unbeatable, and and I never stop doing my shit. Like, I know what I need to do, I know what my work is, how to grow, all that stuff, but I just mean like mentally. I was growing in different ways. I was watching a lot of films. To be honest, I came home from Vancouver last time because my friend in Toronto had died. So that was, of course, also a big reason. I was feeling differently and sitting myself differently. And then during the Christmas break, the film industry shuts down. So that's kind of a thing too. So now suddenly everything's done. It's flipping cold outside. And I was really investing in my Ukrainian because I've been learning Ukrainian for the last 2.5 years, kind of my whole life, but I've been taking it seriously the last 2.5 years, and watching a ton of films. And then a miracle happened, and my friend from Ukraine, well, the girl who's been teaching me Ukrainian online, moved to Toronto in late January. And by February, she was living with me and my mom. And by March, I said I got this gig in Vancouver, and she came. And we're not currently living in the same place, but we were when we first moved here. And she's changed my life. I know when we were living in Toronto, sometimes I have to remind myself of this, because I find when you grow past things, it's so easy to forget you were struggling with it. But I was really feeling bad about living at home. And I wonder how I'll feel about that when I'm back. I feel as though I said to myself early in the year, like, this year is all about growth and acting and in self. And don't you dare worry about money. Focus on everything you need fully. And she moved in with me and is very independent. And I want to say I could tell she didn't perceive me that way. Question mark. I shouldn't be making statements on how she felt about me, you know, but that's how I felt. Maybe that was my own insecurity talking too. But I felt this big rush to prove that I do have all these things. And the funny thing is, I've always considered myself a very independent person. It's not funny. That's why I felt so attacked. And now that I'm here, a big sign of growth is it's been really effortless for me. Like, to find new ways to make money, to commit to my work has always been effortless. To find lovely places to stay has been fulfilling and rewarding. This process has been easy. It was not easy when we first came here. This month has felt easy. And I think I'm sitting in myself totally differently than that version was. And yeah, I think something about this version, this place in particular, is the first place yeah, okay, so let's just say this. I lived away from home for university. I paid half of my rent and my dad paid half at that period of time. I always lived on dorms and my dad sort of insisted, because I understand, but it was because he didn't want me to have a summer sublet that I didn't know what to give to someone, and then that being extra money, he wanted me to stay in dorms. So I always stayed in dorms. And when I graduated and I moved out, so dorms, you apply online. They're not like checking your credit score or something. You get the place, you're on a meal plan. Was I on a meal plan every year? I was on a meal plan every year. Which is kind of funny because I don't eat that much. So on a meal plan, I was constantly trying to spend more money, like buy more expensive things and stuff so that I don't waste money on the meal plan. But as soon as I graduated and all the money was my own and not a card that you had to purchase, suddenly I started to be very frugal. And it was just an interesting transition to be someone who's like almost trying to spend more when you get food to someone who is eating like, what are they? Oh, like Jamaican patties, like for $2.25 at Union Station because it's affordable, I'm pretty sure at one point I had my card maxed trying to get a $2.25 Jamaican patty at Union Station. Definitely have had my card maxed trying to get on the subway and being like, how do I get to where I need to go now? Oh my God. But then I moved into this place in Kensington Market, and I moved in next to my ex-boyfriend. And when I got this lease, again, it was like kind of based on a connection. I already knew someone living alongside the same lease. And when I lived at home for a few years, and then when I came here, the first place was my friend from Ukraine's landlord from Ukraine moved to Vancouver. We stayed with her and her husband, and my friend and I shared a bed. And then there was this in-between period of time, and I stayed in the hostel, which was honestly pretty cuckoo bananas because I was working 3.5 hours away and working 15 to 17 hour days. So I was really sleeping like 1 hour a night. I was so sore. But anyways, it was part of the experience for sure. I'm not even talking to you about that set because it's not out yet. And I don't know, I've never talked about my stand-in photo double experience on my YouTube channel. Maybe I will one day. Maybe a part of me is a little against it. I'm like, it's not acting. But it's been a part of, tons of growth for me. Tons. It's made me being a girl dreaming of being an actor to being someone who's fully in this industry, which has taught me a lot and inevitably made my work better as well, and made the way I want to learn change. So that's a whole different topic. But anyway, I went from there into a lady from work let me stay in her parents' place for a really affordable price. It was very nice. And I'm really, really lucky to have stayed there. And I don't know what the F was wrong with me, but my headspace wasn't solid. And I think a mixture of, I didn't feel like I proved myself yet in regards to being able to stay here because I knew that she was giving me a big discount. And then another thing is the set just ended and I was totally inspired. And I thought when the set ended that I would feel calm. Even when I spoke to my friends on the phone, I was shocked at how accomplished they thought I should feel. Because usually I'm like, I did this thing and maybe you can't see it, but trust me, it's a big deal. Like, yes, this is a monologue competition. Maybe it doesn't translate to money, but trust me, it's a big deal. Like, I'm always trying to show people what I'm doing is a big deal. And recently people have been telling me what I'm doing is a big deal. And that's been really interesting because I got on the phone with two friends and I was in a really hyper mindset. And I was kind of yapping, I feel behind, I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, Kalina, I don't think you have to think about anything for 2 months. You just did something. That was a big deal. You've had exponential growth. And now I'm making the video about May, but this was in April, March and April. You can hold on to that for a minute. And when I was still on the set and working these I'm going to say 75-hour weeks. That's 15 hours a day. I had a 3-hour commute. I'd often get a drive home, but it would be a funny drive. Like, I'd get someone to drive me to a station, then I'd like, the stations would be closed and I'd walk the rest of the way. I was really trying to live cheaply at the time. And now it's kind of funny because I've started to live pretty comfortably, especially investing in acting classes a lot again. I'm talking a lot. I'm 15 minutes in. Oh my God. But so I did that, and that was lovely. But I definitely, and I think the other part of it is I sort of felt like a kid that because I got the price for so cheap, I felt sort of unwanted there, even though I was staying there alone. But the person who got me the place was next door, so I was very hyper aware and didn't like want to invite anyone inside and all these sorts of things. That being said, I'm really grateful and feel lucky to have stayed there, but I didn't feel fully in tune with myself. I was pretty hyper, and the day before I moved into my place for May, I really felt like I was deciding over this place and a place with a couple of film girls about my age. And I don't know, I just got out of this very hyper period of time, and I was thinking about staying with the film girls in an apartment, and I was like, I feel stressed about meeting new people and enclosed counters when like I feel like I need to meditate for a week or something. And Juno Award, musicians. That's what my aunt is saying on Facebook right now, Facebook Messenger. And then when I came here and I had no idea what to expect, and I thought it's far away, I kind of wanted to move to West Van because I was thinking of doing this grip program that I didn't end up doing. Wow, that would just be ending right now. Mamma mia. That feels like a gazillion years ago. And so I came here and I was like, oh my God, it's so relaxing and lovely. And I think part of the reason why it feels like a big deal is because I chose it on my own. Like the other places were sort of through connections, and this felt like me choosing the sublet and doing a really good job and finding a place that I could afford that made me feel really happy and fulfilled. And I felt like I wanted to say one more thing about it. Oh, a big thing for me that also makes me a bit nervous about going home is I remember when I moved out, when I first graduated from university, that I was really around the idea that if I'm an artist, but I'm out of my parents' hair, and not that my parents act like I bothered them so much, but this is just the way I felt, then I can make as much as I want or work as much as I want or do things my way, because as long as I'm paying enough to pay for my rent and to pay for everything I need in my acting classes, why am I bothering anyone? I'm not asking you guys for anything, like, because I don't have this narrative anymore. Everyone is on the same page as me. I've been doing this for a long time. And when I first graduated from school, and it was still the pandemic too, there was a lot of narrative around you should get a job in your degree, which is film production, and like just this energy, a lot of telling me what to do out of love, but a lot of telling me what to do. And I felt like I needed out, because I'm like, guys, I'm not asking you of anything, so why does it matter what I do if I'm doing what I love? And that relationship ended. I did a really wonderful big ass Europe trip. It was awesome. I posted some videos on YouTube during that period of time. And I came back and I decided to move back home, which looked differently to me because we sold our childhood home. So it translated to living with my mom in a condo I'd never lived in before, which felt different because it was closer to downtown than where I grew up. It was condo living. It wasn't, not that there's anything wrong with living with my whole family, but I didn't have that feeling that I was scared of, which is being in my childhood bedroom and being like, I'm X age, like I'm 27, but I'm, let's say, 25 at the time. Like I'm 25 and I'm living in this room. I was really grateful, despite loving that house and missing that house, that we sold it because it allowed me to move my life forward and not get stuck in that feeling that I remember in high school worrying about and thinking about. Like, I don't want to wake up in 5 years in the same bed, which is, I don't know why I was really like that, because I had a really good childhood and had a really wonderful bedroom. And I could tell when I talked to my siblings, or at least one of them, like they really miss it or hate that we sold it. And I miss it too. But to me, it forced growth and change in my life, which is something I'm constantly looking for. I don't like to feel stagnant. So living with my mom felt very different than that. But nonetheless, I had a mentality shift. Before, it was if I made enough to live and be an artist, everything is solid. But suddenly it became, when I move out, I'm going to buy a place, because renting is just money spent, right? And so I need to save up to buy. And I never separated from my dreams. But nonetheless, you start to find, well, for me, it's taking stand-in jobs, which has been wonderful because I've grown so much from them. But yeah, it's just this little mentality shift where my brain loves to plan the future. And then I start to do things like, okay, last summer I worked on Tell Me Lies. That was a really great experience. But that was also 6 months of the year. And when I think of 2025, it shaped the year. Do I want to take it back? No, not at all. But this summer, when I haven't been working a stand-in job, and I worked it during the colder season, I feel really grateful to have this month because auditions are busiest. And I really don't like to work against people. And I do believe that if I'm on a full-time stand-in gig and I get auditions, there's this little brain thing fighting me, being like, if I book it, I'm bothering the people I'm working with. That doesn't mean I won't try my best. But right now, booking is not everything. Getting better is always everything. And I don't even like to say getting better, but embodying a character is very fulfilling and really fun. And I love doing it, and I want it to be about the work. But there's something lovely in keeping yourself free and open. So I was like, okay, so make the money in the colder seasons. But then I'm like, girl, maybe you don't need to plan so hard how you make money. I know it's natural, and I know you're just worried, but I've been trying to solve my whole life. And I am a creative, and things happen in weird ways. And I've been shocked many times on the way that things grow and catapult. And I want to believe in myself, but it's more than that. I'm really far in this at this point, and I really do feel like it's a matter of time. So just keep going, really. But I think I need to work more so that I can move out, so that I could buy a place. This is I'm being a bit hard on myself, but part of my mindset in January. And I do think it catapulted even more so when I started to live with my friend from Ukraine, from my own insecurities and wanting to show her that I am independent and I do want all these things and I have them. And I suddenly sort of felt unaccomplished and felt like I had to prove that I'm an accomplished person through other means. But the thing about living away from home for me, and old me knew this, and me currently living here has once again proven this. Firstly is I'm just like a free-spirited person. And truly, I just can't do everything the way I want to do it at home. On top of that, I'm a memory archivist. I love to archive, keep, store, and to have a place that's not a storage unit, which is where all my stuff is right now, where that stuff can reside, is very rewarding. But thirdly, it's a mental space where I don't need to do anything for someone else. Because when I'm at home, it's constantly about proving that I could make the money to move out, to start my life. There's a lot of feeling that my life did not start yet. And it also puts a lot of pressure on auditions because it's then my life gets started, which I understand. That's why I got restless about how do I make money? How can I move out? How can I buy a place. But all of that has solved itself in my head simply from not buying a place, but from living away from home. And I'm freaking creative, ambitious. I'm a good actor, and I'm a good writer, and I'm inspiring, I think. I'm fucking inspiring, and a lot to share and say and make, and I effortlessly spend every day fully on my craft. You know, I'm obsessive, so I don't feel any doubt that money will grow with time. So I should find a way to get my notifications off, but that is how I feel. That is how I feel. So for that reason, living here too has been a really big freaking deal and really awesome. And now that is just one of the things on my list, and that was 25 minutes in. Okay, let's see if I can talk a little bit more about these other things too. Another thing is I had the opportunity to work as a grip in the film industry this month, which also was really rewarding. I thought about working as a grip for a long time. I do feel in Toronto, because it's home, I'm more stuck on the rules. Like, I feel like I can't do that because I didn't start doing that 5 years ago, or this person doesn't perceive me in this position, and I don't know my way in, or I applied already and they didn't let me in. And there's just things stopping me from... I hate talking like this because it makes me feel like I sound like someone who's stuck when I was not. But I know that I was stuck with grip work. I wanted it to happen and I didn't know how to make it happen. And here I just flip and asked and someone let me. And part of that is right people, right time. And part of that is my willingness, because I'm somewhere new and I'm trying things differently. But it was so rewarding. And something I want to say about it that felt weird is I'm an actor, right? And so far I've worked a lot of small parts in TV shows and films. So you're on set for, and I do that, or I work as a stand-in. Now, stand-in has been so awesome. In ways I've found it more fulfilling than my set experiences as an actor, because I've been there so long that I've become part of this community. And it's taught me to know how capable I am, because I come there every day and I work my long hours and I commute there and I feel fucking excited all the time. That's how I know I'm in the right place, because I never get sick of it. I'm never mad that the hours are long. I just feel like I'm in the right place, and like I'm so fucking grateful and lucky to be there. So that's awesome. What was I going to say about grip work? Well, it's another version of that, right? It's more of being on set all the time. Oh, it's just, I have spent my whole life striving for more, and I never want to change. But as a kid, I was an athlete. I am an athlete in a sense, but I was much more of an athlete. And I played national level badminton, and it was always about being better, right? And then I went into acting, and if I work a bit part, I mean, honestly, especially like 2 years ago when I was really just starting to book these things regularly, I made trailer videos on set, and I was fucking hyped. Like, I was really, really hyped to work any opportunity, right? Any experience. But nonetheless, you're a part of a system, and your goal is to get further ahead, right? And when I work as a stand-in, I'm using it as a learning experience to learn from the actors. Now, as a grip, of course, there's a position above you. It's being a key grip, or a best boy, right? Or best person. But nonetheless, I felt like I was working the job, and there was no ladder for the first time, except there were physically ladders. But I'm so accustomed to striving and striving and striving constantly, and people can see your growth more clearly than you can. I think I'm pretty good at making shit like this and recognizing I'm growing, but nonetheless, like, both those feelings coexist. You see where you are on a chart and you see where you were, but a feeling that I struggle with personally is the second I pass the threshold, I ask myself, why didn't I know that before? You know, like, I'm trying to stop doing that because you can only learn things when you learn them. There's a line in The Alchemist, the book that I'm gonna paraphrase, but it's like, oh, I found out that this is how you make gold, right? And they're like, I'm mad that that took me 10 years to learn something that I knew the whole time, that was within me the whole time. But I'm grateful that it didn't take me 20 years. And I'm reminding myself of that all the time. I honestly should reread the book because my dad always pushed the idea of points for perseverance. And I really experienced that with badminton, continuing to do it as people quit, even though I eventually quit. But, and I started to beat people that would cream me when I was younger, like just beat me so badly. And I struggled to take my growth seriously because I thought, but now I'm practicing harder than them. But it doesn't change the fact that they were beating me 21-2 when I was 11, and at 15, I'm beating them 21-17. You know, it's a big difference. Yeah, it was interesting to, as a grip, just this internal feeling of being respected exactly where I am, and the striving feeling. It just made me start to think about different lifestyles and ways that people live, because a lot of people live within their day. Like, okay, I'm going to go to this job 9 to 5. I have a kid, so I'm going to go home, pick them up from daycare. We're going to spend time with the kid until 10 p.m. and then I'm going to put the kid to bed probably earlier. I don't know. Depends on the age of the kid. But they're in daycare, so probably earlier. You know, this sort of thing. And this is really wonderful. And I feel like you're very much inside of this day, while I've spent a lot of time in my head, moving forward. And I love myself in the way I think. And I think it's given me so much. And I can't really imagine being anyone else. But it was a little eye-opening to work a position that made me feel that way a little less. That being said, I know a lot of grips are thinking about directing and are thinking about other things, but it just made me think about working a job and feeling comfortable within it and not craving more. It reminded me of a feeling I had years ago when I worked on the feature film White Elephant. And it was before I really learned who I am. Now I know that if I'm working a show call, like a full set, I'm pretty fucking lucky. And if I'm a stand-in or an actor, I'm going to be present and I'm going to embody the character and I'm going to do everything in my power to be fully there. But at the time, I was just a striver. I grew up striving. And I was confused when I booked the film because my brain thought getting the audition was like a check mark. And I almost didn't want to be on set. Like, it was like, check mark, what's the next thing? And I noticed myself thinking a lot about poetry and a lot about what I was editing when I was physically on set instead of best performance possible. You know, that I wouldn't do that now. I'm definitely, that's how you show your work, right? That's how you show who you are, what you offer. And also, I've really deeply fallen in love with the work, and especially recently, like this process of embodying a character, I feel like I know how to do. Not that there's not room for growth, but instead of obsessing over, I used to be so obsessed with acting is not tangible. I could act every day, and how do I know I'm getting better? I need it to be on a list. I need to know. And now I've just fallen in love with the work and becoming someone else. Becoming a version of yourself that fits within this person as well. And I've fallen in love with that so much that it's made my work better and has simultaneously made me stop obsessing with improving, because it's obvious that when I embody, I become, and when I become, I'm better. I hate that word, but better in this context than I was before. But yeah, that was the interesting phenomenon on grip work. And again, it just proved capability. I could ask and I could receive. And it was a full circle moment, because when I finished that set I was working on, I really felt as though I needed something stable to show growth, because I suddenly felt behind. A part of it was I was on this really fucking wonderful set experience. And I'm so proud of myself for being the kind of person who does not feel envious, but instead feels, wow, I'm lucky to be here. But the part that I struggled with just a bit when we wrapped is the director, writer, editor and lead actor is the same age as I am. And he's blowing up like mad right now. And I'm so happy for him. It's freaking awesome. And I guess I'm allowed to say this. His name is Curry Barker. And I was so deeply inspired by him and moved by him that when it wrapped, I just felt as though I felt like I just had this long period of time where I couldn't really work on my own stuff because I was so immersed in this environment. So I felt behind. And then simultaneously working with him, being in that environment with everyone, I felt like I was a part of something bigger than myself, because I was. And when it's done, you're just back to being a girl who's striving and working, and suddenly the experience feels far away. And it doesn't feel so far away anymore because I feel close to the people, and I don't feel like it's this thing that happened that I'll never. Just initially I had this feeling of I made these great relationships and now everybody is gone forever. You know, especially some of the actors were so wonderful to me, and you know, they're big named people. The names are out for the new film. I guess I'm allowed to say it, but it's Aaron Paul and Bryce Dallas Howard were so amazingly kind to me. And Bryce Dallas Howard gave me a really wonderful gift on the last day. And I was like really feeling up. I was like, oh my God, look at all this. But it was sort of this sideways motion because it wasn't direct as like acting work. I get a credit. You see it. It means this. This will look like that too in a slightly different way, but I will make a post online and stuff when it comes out, which outwardly will come back to me different. I mean, this is the relationship with Instagram, is when things come out. Maybe it's with acting in general. When your work comes out, of course, it's a different win. Being on the set is one win. It coming out is a second win. And or a loss if you're getting bad reviews, I guess. But I still feel like I'm at the point where it's like, whoa, she's working. But yeah, even when I do stand in photo double stuff, I really do feel like there's a win involved in when the work comes out. And Obsession coming out, which is Curry Barker's newest film, played another part in this, and I got to see that this month in May. I might see Backrooms today, which was filmed here in Vancouver, but it just again gave me this proximity feeling and pond getting smaller feeling, which has been very rewarding and fulfilling. Now I want to talk about I think I want to talk about this. Okay. Yes. So I've had a very funny, interesting year. So I'm not talking January, I'm talking like a year. So about a year and a half ago, I discovered stand-in photo double work, and it's changed my relationship with acting. As a start, it changed my job. I worked at Second City before, which was so awesome. I didn't make a lot of money, but I really did love it. But I had this feeling like I was far away from the industry. My degree is in film, and I was working in theater, which is insane, but I wanted to work in film. So I love Second City though, and I would absolutely love to be a part of their main stage show in my future. I still think that's in the cards, and I may loop around back to it. I think it's quite, I don't want to say it's quite likely, because life can show up in a whole bunch of different ways, but I would not be mad, that's for sure. But it became the stand-in photo double work, and I've booked less now than I was, like as an actor. I mean, I'm not necessarily in my acting up, but outwardly in the eyes of others, I think I'm in and up, which feels odd. And I'm also experiencing something weird. I keep telling myself I'm not owed anything, because sometimes I'll do a good audition and you sort of have that feeling, that's the one, I got this, plus I did this and you saw me at this monologue competition, therefore this is gonna happen now. But I'm not owed anything. I feel, I'm watching my words. I want to say I feel really lucky for the opportunity. I also want to say they're lucky to have me because old me would say because I'm a hard worker, which is true, but also because I take good care of a character. I am not, I will not take advantage of the opportunity. The reason why I'm cringing at opportunity, even though I do think it's an opportunity, is simply because I do feel like I've earned it. I'm contradicting myself because I don't want to feel owed anything. And I want to feel grateful for every audition that comes in, but I also want to recognize that I've made very conscious actions for these auditions to come in. I did 7 casting director workshops like since September, and all between I think maybe October and February. I was doing like 1 or sometimes 2 a month. And it's full weekends on your laptop. It's also a lot of money, but it's like, I want to know these people. I want them to know me. I want them to know my work. And I've gotten very specific about what I bring forward. And I don't want to pigeonhole myself, but I also want them to know really what I can do. So it's been a funny stretch of time because since September Tell Me Lies ended, and I've been really like, okay, time to do something with acting. And now it's late May, and I haven't booked anything, but my acting has exponentially improved. And again, I can tell inwardly, but something unusual is I can also tell, people can tell outwardly. While I've spent a lot of my life going, I believe in you. Like, it doesn't matter if they can see it or not, I believe in you. Or writing mantras in the morning. I know what I'm doing. Nobody needs to understand my vision. I do. And it's been a really weird experience to notice when I'm talking like that people around me are actually like, of course. Duh. Like, why are you talking like that? Duh. So that's been really interesting because booking wise, I'm in an unsuccessful era, but acting wise, I've really deeply grown into myself. And I know what I like to do, which it's kind of like question mark because part of it's like versatility. And meanwhile, I'm like planning the shows I'll book and like, all of this. But to me, it's shaping the direction that you want. And I know that the careers that I admire. And when I was younger and I didn't know a lot about the film industry, any kind of booking was a blessing. And of course, financially, like a commercial, like cool, financially, it's awesome. Look, you are working as an actor. But I think it's fair to know what you want. And I think in some ways I'm taking the long way because I'm showing people this is what I offer. I actually am not trying for this kind of stuff here. But at the same time, I think it's setting myself up really beautifully for things to play out in my favor. And I shared a scene just a few days ago. It's on my YouTube too that I'm really proud of. It's actually for my CFC application, even though I didn't write that in the thing. And at the end of the day, I can see my work growing and I can see a repertoire of work even through self-tape auditions and simultaneously growing in my knowledge of film production a lot, which is making me want to know what I want to film more, knowing how I want to film it, and all of these things coming together. But for the time being, I'm happy with them being done at the studio. I think all parts of me won't mind it sometimes being filmed at the studio. Then the scenes that you really love, you can take a step farther and produce them, right? And put them together in a more cinematic way. But yeah, I've just really fallen in love with the learning and I've really loved that. Now to conclude, May is coming to an end. This has been a little bit more than just May. It's been a bit of everything, but May has definitely been a I've had multiple moments where I'm like, damn, I feel rewarded. And I've had multiple moments where I felt, what the F am I doing as well? But I feel like that's a part of growth. And I've taken risks in many areas of my life. I've totally been a risk taker this month. And that's beautiful and interesting. And I've just had this really interesting thought of this is a Kalina girl summer. Instead of like hot girl summer, it's like it's a Kalina girl summer, which is a hot girl summer. But I just think that I never really separated the seasons in my head. I was always a workaholic, and the seasons blend into one another. And because I'm in a different city, maybe possibly, and because May has been so lovely, and I've been living in a very naturey location, so I've been more in touch with nature, I just feel, don't worry about everything that's happened, and don't worry about everything's to come. Just have a summer where I want to say I'm fully immersed in my work, which is exactly what I want, actually. But I want to do it in a loving way. I want to also shoot with my Super 8 and look outside and enjoy myself when I'm in the studio. Not like, I haven't booked, go prove yourself, you motherfucker. Like, instead of this, I want to approach it with love and care, and I think I'm in the right mindset to do that. And fuck yeah, June is coming, Kalina girl summer. And it's gonna be freaking awesome. So thank you so much for everyone who's taking the time to listen to this. I know it's lengthy, but this is a really wonderful reflection, even for myself, to know where I'm at and where I've been. And I've had a lot of fun putting it together. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we will talk soon. So bye for now. Bye.